Welcome. We are here today for yet another Vitality Vibes. And I am so excited to have this beautiful guest with us today, Vasi Smith. And she has a wealth of information and experience from her own healing journey when it comes to food addiction.
So we're launching a support group for people who are struggling with sustainable weight loss and food addiction, cravings they can't control, and also doing a 14-day whole foods reset. So really nourishing our bodies with nutrient-dense foods that help us to heal, help us to cleanse and detox.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited for this. Thank you for being willing to offer this to the community. And as we were talking, this is something that is at epidemic proportions. I don't think that there is another addiction in our world that claims as many people. And for most of us, it's hidden. For most of us, we don't even know that it's an addiction. This compulsion to eat or this compulsion to not eat. And brave people like Vasi are coming into the world, going through their own healing journey, learning experiences, taking everything they've learned, and now she's ready to bring it to the North Fork Valley and beyond. She's writing a book about it. And you've got an online presence where you're helping people with this. So this is such powerful stuff. And I'd love for people to just kind of as an intro to get to know, what's your experience? What qualifies you to, I already know you're qualified, that's a really snotty question. What is it about you and your passion that you bring to a group, your experiences?
Yeah, so food addiction is something I've struggled with off and on for decades. I really started feeling it when I moved from Bulgaria to the United States, actually. I grew up in a communist country where we had basically access to fruits, veggies, meats, bread. We didn't have access to a whole lot of food. And then I came to the States and I got introduced to Lucky Charms. That's one of my favorite cereals. Chips. I never had chips before. On the airplane coming to the States, this is the first time I had chips, and I had so many chips. After so many bags of chips after that, hot dogs, so many foods that I'd never had before. So that was when I really started feeling it. I was also really lonely.
Well, when did you,
I was 8 years old.
8 years old, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't know the language. People made fun of me because I had this short haircut and I looked like a boy in third grade. So, I just felt isolated and alone. So I'd watch cartoons after school and just stuff my face with all these foods that I was all of a sudden introduced to. Since then, I've had off and on periods where I felt like I had it under control. In high school, I did cross country and swimming. I felt like food addiction was far away from me. Right. But then I went to college, again, by myself, didn't know anyone, and the dining halls, the buffets, I was back in the food. It just, anytime when I was feeling really lonely and stressed, that food felt like a friend. It's not a friend, and I know that now because people think that food addiction is not deadly. I think they think of it as, heroin's deadly, cocaine's deadly. I know that. Food addiction is absolutely deadly.
Yes.
Diabetes. Yes. Polycystic ovary syndrome, metabolic disorder, cancer. Cancer feeds on sugar.
Yes.
So my dad had diabetes, my aunt, my grandfather, that runs in our family. And it is absolutely deadly. So it's not something to be laughed away. It's absolutely something that can dramatically enhance your health if you can figure it out and find a pathway to recovery, like I like to call it. And I feel like I have been finding my pathway to recovery. I'm finding a holistic system that is supporting me in feeling greater peace with food. It's helped me to release over 50 pounds. I feel like I'm in a different place with food than I was just a year ago. But my why, the reason that I went on this journey in the first place was because I have endometriosis, so I had this bloated belly along with the 50 to 70 extra pounds I was carrying, and people started asking me when are you due? Or I hope it's a girl next time. I've seen you around with your boys. And it was such a shock to my system every time because I didn't think of myself as looking that way, but the external reflection made me realize that I look pregnant like all the time. And I would mumble things like, oh, I'm pregnant with possibilities, ha ha ha. And then I'd go cry in a bathroom because I was so devastated.
Right.
There were so many things I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to deal with this question everywhere I went. So I started really digging. I got a bunch of books from the library. I learned about intermittent fasting. I delved into mindset, visualization, things like that. I just started like really delving into this. I realized I need to change no matter what, matter what it takes. Something needs to shift. Mm-hmm. So I started just trying things. And in the process, like I said, I found the system that really supports me in walking my pathway of recovery. And I'm excited to share it with people and to support people in their journeys, whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah, that's really key. Whatever that looks like for them, you really you don't have a rigid, stringent approach to this. It's let's get together and let's actually figure out what you're committing to, how you can get the support that you need, and let's then support each other in the journey, which is what we all really need to heal. The biggest healing moments for me, yes, I've had some ahas in counseling, EMDR, you name it, I've tried it. I've spent so much time in therapy, movement therapies, acupuncture, all the things. But where the deepest healing has come for me is when I'm sitting in a circle with people who I know love me, believe in me, and who they relate to me. No one's pointing the finger saying, well, at least I'm not like them. It's like, oh, I've done it too. I've been there too. And that's where it's kind of like, did you ever watch The Grinch growing up? My heart in groups does what the Grinch's heart does. It's just like, and then anything's possible, when you know that you're loved. So and I have a food story too. Most of us do, if we're honest. I grew up in a pretty abusive home, and a lot of times we didn't have enough food. And sometimes we had an overabundance of food. And so when we had food, I would stuff myself. And that was also part of the way I could feel safe, is to have my belly really full. And then because I stuffed all my feelings down and all the pain down, that I left home, I joined the Air Force, I had to fit into this uniform. And I was obsessed with what I ate and trying to be healthy, but deep down, I was hiding the secret that I was binging. Whenever I could binge, I would binge food at night, late at night. I just couldn't stop. I thought about throwing up and I tried, but I couldn't. I just couldn't make myself do it, actually, thank God. So then I just decided I'll go to the gym 3 or 4 hours, and everybody thought, oh, you're so motivated, you're so talented. People were encouraging something that was, they didn't know, but they were encouraging my unhealthy addiction. And it took me getting pregnant to realize I can't do this anymore. But I continued to emotionally overeat for years. I would say I still now, if I get really emotional and I'm not thinking of some of the other strategies I have for taking care of myself, I might emotionally overeat, but nothing like what I used to. So it's a journey. We can keep coming to a place where we are whole without needing to fill our hole with food. And like you said, there's so many addictions, but this one, it's so deadly because for most people, it's a slow killer. And you don't realize, I look at some young people these days, including young people in my family, and I think, they don't, I'm starting to get old now. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm aging, I think, gracefully. And you start to feel things in your body. Like you start to know, okay, this thing doesn't last forever. So if it's optimized, you're going to feel much better as you age. But the agony you bring on yourself if you can't get your body in balance, it's just so difficult. So
yeah, it can be devastating, and people may not necessarily know where to turn. Like when I was first trying to figure this out, like I need to lose weight, I need to not look pregnant all the time, I started looking for support groups. I looked in the High Country Shopper. There was a weight loss support group in Delta. There was Overeaters Anonymous in Delta, but there's nothing in the North Fork Valley that I had found. So I feel like that supportive community that you were talking about would have been a huge help in my journey to just like connect with others, get ideas, and find things I could try. But that didn't exist, so that's a big part of the reason why I really have wanted to create that for the North Fork Valley, and I really am excited to partner with Wellspring Vitality to bring a support group around food addiction, sustainable weight loss, or balance, like you said, balance, because you might be on the other side of the spectrum where you're actually restricting a lot and feel out of balance in that direction. This group can support everybody, no matter where you are in your food journey. Find balance and support in a container to be held and to be loved, like you said.
It reminds me of something that I was doing to myself over a year ago. This has nothing to do with food, but it's a good metaphor for balance. I was into the craze of cold plunging. And I was cold plunging. I worked up to where in my bathtub every morning I was doing 8 to 11 minutes in ice water. And I thought that was really healthy for me until my joints started hurting. Until I started to have I wasn't sleeping as well. I started to have like high energy in the morning because you just get all pumped and you're all excited. You see how people are after they cold plunge. But then I would kind of crash in the afternoon. I'd be so tired. And what I found out from my acupuncturist is I was overstressing my adrenaline. And there's all these things that we think that we're doing for ourselves that we think are good. Like Bragg's liquid aminos is something that people think is good for them, but it's actually introducing neurotoxins. It's got a form of nutritional yeast. So there's things that we try to do the best we can, but when we're a group, we can hear from, oh, hey, I found this thing over here. And it's not that you're obsessing so much about the eating. I want to make sure that we're not focusing on that. It's that we're getting to the deeper roots of understanding how we have shared experiences, we have shared woundings, and that we're also sharing this journey of becoming who we really are. Whenever I'm in a group that's been valuable to me, I've been in a group now for, about 7 years now. And I started out calling it Trauma Mama. Now I call it Transcendence Tribe, because we have done the work to where we are all becoming. But at the same time, we are held, seen, known, and loved, just as we are. And I think that's what a good group does.
Sounds so powerful. Transcendence Tribe.
Yes.
Love it.
Just in case you saw a visual of us, dancing around in loincloth, that's not quite what we're doing, but just in case. So who is this group for? Obviously it would be for you and I and the different eating disorders that we've had.
Yeah, so anybody who feels any sense of struggle in their relationship with food, and who is ready or who feels like they could be ready to make a change, because that is an important piece of it. Or if you just want to feel supported, you could just come to feel loved and support, even if you're not quite ready to change. That's okay too. Anybody who feels like they've tried to lose weight but nothing's working, or they have cravings that they feel powerless over, or they feel out of balance in the other way, in which they're like totally restricting their food, and they want to come back to a place of center and compassion with themselves, because compassion and self-love is like a guiding force in this group. One of the things we'll be doing is a powerful program called Hypno Health, and it's very relaxing to your nervous system. So it helps you to manage stress in your life, which I found to be really instrumental in my ability to release weight and feel greater balance in my relationship with food. So we're gonna relax, and then you're also gonna get a chance to reprogram your own mind around healthy habits you wanna take on. So you get to decide what habits do you wanna try? What habits are you ready to experiment with in your life? You get to think about that as part of this visualization, and think about how you can be your best life, be your best self, and create your dream life.
And that's what I'm seeing you do, Vasi, is you're not only getting free you're spending time thinking, you know, like what was it you want to do on your ranch? You're going to create
regenerative agriculture center.
Yeah.
Education center.
I'm seeing these things go out and change the world. You're changing, you're getting free, and then you're creating things like this group. You're writing a book right now. And this woman is a natural cheerleader, seriously. She knows that I'm writing a book, and she brought me a book to help me write the book. And has given me tips and like, what about this person and that person? This is the kind of person that you want on your team, on the sidelines. You're in the arena, doing the hard work, but she's not going to be criticizing you. She's going to be like, go, yes, you did it. Okay, so you were on the couch yesterday eating Doritos all day, but today you showed up, right? And that's some of the beautiful work that you're about. It's about just who you are. And I guess that's the thing. At Wellspring, we're not about people looking good or feeling good. I used to be into that. I used to judge people for what they had in their grocery cart, and I would have been the person you would have loved to hate if you could have heard what was going on in my head. But that was coming from my own self-loathing, you know? But it's not, there's so much, I've never wanted to have a weight loss support group where we showed before and after pictures, because that's not the point. What I want is before and after results, because it's not about how you look, it's not about how you feel. Those are amazing side effects. You probably feel like you look better now. No one's asking you if you're pregnant. You probably feel so much better, your energy's up. But it's not about those things. It's about releasing those negative energies, the negative thoughts, the anxiety, the stress, the worry, the inflammation, the pain, all those things that come with that negative energy, and then raising up that positive energy so that we're creating joy, connection, effervescent communion, that place where people sing and dance and are just transformed. We're stirring that up. Why? So that you and I and you can go out into the world and multiply love into the world in the way that only you can. When you're sick and tired, you're not able to actually stir up that energy. You're not able to give your gift. You know, and
so powerful. Yeah, it's finding your own pathway to health, vitality, and freedom is so powerful. I honestly think like people who have addictions of any kind are like so powerful because it's energy. All that addiction takes up so much energy. And then once you start to pull yourself away from it, whatever that looks like for you, then you have all this energy to channel into something big and huge and beautiful. And there's so much you can do with your life. It's amazing. And it looks different for every person. Like you're big on this too. Self-sovereignty is something that we both value, finding your own pathway, because it looks different for every person. Like for me, I love vegetables and like veggie-full meals, cooking them raw. I love veggies in all their forms. My husband, he's okay with them, but it's not his thing. It's not his jive, but he's trying out like some intermittent fasting, increasing the amount of time between his dinner and his breakfast. That's what he's playing with.
That's a great tool.
Yeah,
if you're not using it to deprive yourself, like you said.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a balance. And I have actually hurt myself through intermittent fasting. I don't know if you know this story, but because I had so much weight to lose, I did some of the longer fasts, like 3-day, but I was still doing all the work on the ranch, carrying water bottles and things like that. And that's a no-no. I've learned since then, you shouldn't be doing heavy exercises if you're doing a longer fast, and you should also be working with a health provider that you trust. But yeah, I actually like hurt my muscle, and I'm still working through healing that muscle injury because I did it too far. And I wasn't eating enough protein. So now I add protein to like every single meal. I'll have some protein to support my muscles. So yeah, it's balance in everything, and then having that feedback from a group of like, oh, like I had this experience, so look out for that. It can be so powerful to share on our journey and to look out for each other. Like, oh, are you maybe going a little too far with that tool?
Right.
Because they're all tools that we can use that can help us, but if we take them too far, they can, lead us back down into that addicted place where we don't want to go back to.
We can get addicted in all directions.
Totally. Absolutely.
And so the goal is that we find what's underneath.
Exactly.
And that's what a group gives you a chance to do. I wanted to say too, one of the things that we hadn't mentioned when we went over this earlier is that if there is somebody who comes into the group who has a really intense food addiction and needs more support, we also have that in the wings. We have local resources and beyond for you being able to get maybe the one-on-one support that you need. So that is definitely in the works. And then there's another way that you're supporting us, not just this ongoing support group. Tell me about the reset. This is really exciting. I drooled on myself when I saw the recipes. So tell me more.
Yeah, so we're going to do this whole 14-day whole food reset starting March 7th. We're going to start with a whole food party and have recipes available, like the foods available so people can try them.
Yeah.
The recipes created by nutritionist Krista Recchio. She's a holistic and clinical nutritionist both. And she just helps people with all sorts of different conditions. And this reset is really designed to cleanse and detox the body and reset the gut microbiome. It's a crazy thing I've learned about the gut microbiome is that the bacteria you have in there will actually influence the kind of food that you're craving and wanting. So if you can change the bacteria, which this 14-day whole food reset can help you actually reset the bacteria in your gut, you will start to crave different foods because different bacteria have a craving for different foods. Like processed foods might be a challenge for you right now. You might experiment with, what if I eat more of these nutrient-dense foods? What am I wanting? What am I craving? I find myself now just craving like cauliflower and peppers and I love veggies. Like my bacteria are just very attuned to vegetables. So it's interesting how that can change. The 14-day reset includes the recipes and then support groups for, it's longer than 14 days because we have the whole food party and then it actually starts like a few days later. You have a chance to get your food, get your like shopping, look over the recipes, and then we'll be meeting on Tuesdays and Fridays. So that's all in the poster you'll find below.
That is such powerful work and just kind of fun, like to play with food for fun. As we were talking about earlier, this food has become such a stigma. You go to the birthday party, you have to eat the cake, all those things. And yeah, I just want to tell kind of a parable of healing or this beautiful metaphor that's in creation. And what it is it's the cicada. The 17-year cicada, and I've lived in a place where they came out of the ground and literally it felt like we were being invaded by aliens, but it was also kind of a beautiful process. It did traumatize my kids, all these bugs all over the ground, but we made it through. And it wasn't until years later that I started to actually look at what they do in their life cycle and think, that's me, that's you, that's all of us when we embark on a healing journey. And the thing you need to know about the 17-year cicada is they spend almost their entire life, just shy of 17 years, under the ground, sucking tree roots. Can you relate? I have spent so much time in my life being unaware of why I'm hurting, numbing out, ignoring, living, just accepting the status quo and being angry and confused and frustrated because I wasn't in the life I really wanted to be in. I've sucked some tree roots. I'm really good at that. But there's a point where I and that cicada decided there's got to be more. I'm willing to make any change, like you said earlier, to do whatever it takes to move forward. And so the cicada begins to climb. And it comes to the surface, and the first thing it does is it molts its exoskeleton. It makes that change. And so even thinking about that reset, someone may decide maybe drinking water would be enough. More water, or I'm gonna just go to the group, that'll be all I can do. But for some people, that 2-week reset will be kind of like in the metaphor of molting that exoskeleton, making that change. I'm moving on from what was behind and I'm pressing forward into things that I want to become. And then that cicada is totally vulnerable to predators. They're like, ooh, cicada snack, and it's soft, it's not crunchy, and just the way I like it. But the cicada is smart. Most of them get through that stage by climbing up into a tree and hiding. They're attaching to something safe. And that's what a group healing is, or a good counselor or a good friend that you can look in their eyes and they'll tell you they love you, but they're also going to tell you the truth. And we have to attach to heal. And once that person or that cicada is strong enough, they come down and then they create this beautiful exoskeleton. They're the only one. They are the only one who possesses that beauty and those gifts. And then the male begins to sing and the female begins to dance. And she does that to distract the male long enough so that they can co-create and make something beautiful, that they can push life forwards. And that's what happens when we heal. And that's what's happened when you're healing. You've healed to the point where you're inspired to share that healing and to share your gifts with the world in a powerful way. And so that's what you're doing. You're going to help people dance their dance, sing their song. I'm wondering if you have any closing words of wisdom. I know we could probably go on all day. But
I love that cicada story. It's so powerful. The transformation that happens.
Yeah. We're never stuck. You're not stuck sucking tree roots. You can make that little change that changes everything.
Totally. Yeah. And speaking of little change, there's a book called Atomic Habits that talks about how you can create those habits that will actually move your life forward. And it doesn't have to be something huge. Like a glass of water can be what you try. Or if you want to do a workout, maybe don't start with an hour, start with 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It sounds
that's powerful.
Crazy, but then you build on that. Then you have success with those 2 minutes and then you build on that. And you can really create sustainable habits that support you in thriving over the long run. It's not like a 2-week quick fix and you're done. It's like, no, we want you to create habits that will transform your life, like the cicadas, where you can sing and dance for years, not just for the 2 weeks of the reset or the 1 week of the support group or the, whatever. We want you to thrive for life. That's the point.
Yes. And another thing about habits from the Tiny Habits book is one thing that when we've had addictions, we don't realize that we're playing all of these things in our mind. These things that tell us how stupid we are, how we'll never amount to anything, how we're not going to be able to do these things because of all these blockages, because of all these tree roots holding us down. And the Tiny Habits thing that I've really held on to, it's going to feel goofy. But let's say that your thing is, I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk in the morning. Even if you don't go for the 5-minute walk, you have to do this part. Put your shoes by the door. Or lay out your clothes the night before. Do something that reminds you of that walk. And then celebrate it. And get goofy with it. Like, check out those shoes. They are perfectly by the door. No one else can do it like I do. I am amazing. Plus, they're cute. I'm going to look so cute on my walk tomorrow. I am so good at this. No one else can put their shoes by the door like I just did. And I know it sounds goofy, but that's kind of the same kind of thing that you're stirring up, that effervescent communion you stir up in a group, right? Is people see you for who you are. They call out your gifts. Have you had somebody say that to you? Like, you should write a book, or you should do this, or you should do that, because they see you. They believe in you until you can believe in yourself.
Yeah, it's so powerful to be in a group where you can do that. Yeah, and celebrate each other and celebrate ourselves. It's such a key thing.
You want this woman to be believing in you. So if you're called by this, I hope that you will come and enjoy and be filled with the things that you have deep longings, and these addictions get in the way. So we did it. We stirred up some love right here on Vitality Vibes. I can't wait for you to join Vasi in her groups. And we're going to have a great time healing. This is not a painful ordeal. You're not going to be standing naked in a room. You're going to be accepted just as you are, just as you are. So thanks for tuning in to Vitality Vibes. Throwing the gang sign.